You just gotta love the Pacific Northwest in the wintertime, huh? I'm Todd Newton, the Tattooed Traveler, taking you to Pendleton, Oregon to tour one of the wildest brothels in the West. I welcome you to Pendleton, Oregon, a town whose motto is the real West. This is a ranching town known for constructing some of the best Western wear in all of the United States. It's also a big rodeo town, and if you're looking for a custom-made saddle or maybe some custom-made alligator skin boots, well, friend, you've come to the right place. Founded in 1863, Pendleton has been home to some pretty rowdy cowboys and gamblers, and those fellas needed a place where they could, well, relax. Located right here in the middle of downtown Pendleton is a statue of Madam Stella Darby. Now, Stella, while she was still in her 20s, opened what became the most popular brothel here in Pendleton. It was called the Cozy Rooms. Opened in 1928, stayed open until 1967. And unlike a lot of madams during that time period, Stella was a little different in that she liked to encourage her working girls to save their money, to get an education, to take etiquette classes. So when their working days were behind them, they could find a higher rung on the social ladder. Stella just had a natural knack for knowing what men wanted. And the cowboys would hitch their horses up to these steel rings, and Stella had these fences installed with those sharp jabs running along the top there to keep the men from climbing all over each other and her property. These are the original yellow doors of the Cozy Rooms, and these stairs are also original. The men would climb these stairs and be directed here to the parlor, where they would wait for the lady of their choice. Pendleton Underground Tours is a nonprofit organization that does an amazing job of really allowing you to step into the shoes of these working girls. Quite often, a dangerous life they were living. I'll put the link in the description below. Each lady had 2 rooms here at Cozy Rooms. The first was where she conducted her business, a room like this, and another where she lived, and I'll show you one of those in a moment. Madam Stella lived here too, full time. That's how she kept such a close eye on her operation. This is her actual living quarters. And I want to direct your attention to that closet right there. Now, often the brothel would get raided, and Stella and the prostitutes would sneak into this closet, through this secret hallway, into this back bedroom, down the back staircase, and safely out into the street before the police could get them.
So these girls each had their own working room and they had their own living space. The two were not to mix. So you never worked here or lived here and you didn't work back in your living space. This is one of the token boxes. This is what the men would drop their tokens into. That each girl had one in her room. This is from another hotel here in Pendleton. So if the girls were busy working, of course, these windows would be pulled down for privacy. And if they were available, the window would be up. They could hang out their window, sit in the window and flirt and flaunt and try to draw some business in. The gentleman could then walk up and down these hallways, do a little window shopping, and pick the item they liked.
That's right. The men paid for the services with tokens like these. After all, it's illegal to exchange cash for such business. Here's one of the private rooms lived in by the ladies. And here's the kitchen where they could relax, unwind, have a nice meal, maybe gossip a little bit. Stella always made sure there was a full-time cook on staff, also a full-time cleaning lady to make sure everything was spick and span. Here's where the ladies would freshen up. And this might catch you off guard. Every Sunday morning, here in the Bordello chapel, Stella held church services. Hey, let me ask you this. Have you ever wondered why working girls are called hookers?
Term hooker, there was, I think his name was Joe Hooker during the Civil War, and he would bring troops into, or girls into service as troops. And so they eventually became known as hookers girls, and thus hookers.
There you go. You learn something new every day, right? Now, Pendleton was a big railroad town, and with that came a lot of Chinese migrant workers seeking a better life. I don't know if they really found it. They were treated like second-class citizens and forced to live in underground quarters like this. They had their own justice system. This was the jail used by the Chinese. Oof, doesn't look too comfortable. These tunnels run throughout the entire city and often led to speakeasies like this. Look at the ceiling. Those bullet holes, boy, those came from a big gun. You know things got rambunctious down here. Now, the drinkers and the gamblers underground would be alerted to police raids if this bell would start ringing. You see, on the other end of this rope is a lookout standing up on street level. And if he saw the cops, he'd pull that rope, the bell would ring, and everybody would make a mad dash to safety. Really interesting. Had a great time. Thank you, Pendleton Underground Tours. I loved that one, the tunnels and the brothel and the history of this great town. I hope you get out on the highways and byways of this country and just explore a little. There is so much to see. That's what this channel is all about. So make sure you subscribe right now and like this video. I always appreciate it. I'm Todd Newton, the Tattooed Traveler. Until we meet again a little further on down the path, travel safely, my friend.